12 years as a Reverian. Do you remember our first conversation? What made you choose to work with us at Reverie?
I do remember the first time meeting you. I mean, it was during my interview. So you were one of the panelists who was doing the interview. And I also remember you had asked me a physics question, me being from a physics background, you had asked me a physics question which I could not answer. So I do remember that. And also post joining, I think I remember one of our early conversations, I mean, which has stayed with me for some time. I think it was around the time probably when my probation was getting over, or it had just got over, that you had come up to me and asked for a conversation and a chat, and you had mentioned that you would like me to commit to Reverie for a longer association, uh, and at that time you had mentioned like a longer association of 2 years, and of course I did commit to it, and yet we are today at 12 years.
Yeah, indeed. So we had burnt our fingers earlier. We wanted to be careful with our hiring. In fact, we need to be careful in our hiring even today. But I really can't be thankful enough that we found you, and such a beautiful association so far. In fact, Arvind and I have been first generation entrepreneurs. We didn't have any entrepreneurial background earlier. So, we are all learning in the process. What were those 2, 3 aspects that, got you plugged in with the language technologies, especially?
I mean, to start off, I mean, I didn't think of that much. I mean, it was just straight out of college, so I wanted a job, and of course, those were the days when recession had just hit. But yeah, I think probably post 3 to 4 months, I think I really liked working on the uh, problems which we were looking at. I mean, when I went and discussed with my friends what they were working on, they would all probably talk about technical problems and stuff like that, whereas I always could connect or tell from a problem which the users or the people were facing, and which we were trying to solve. I mean, that gave a bit of a unique positioning in itself, and also the fact that we were a small team trying to solve a big problem which was for our nation, and we being a fully Indian company trying to solve that problem. I think that was one of the things which got me hooked into it. Apart from that, I would need to mention that I think initially I worked a lot on display technologies, and subsequently a bit on transliteration, and having to work on all of these, I worked on different scripts and all, and sort of say similarities between the languages which would not come to us, or we would not think of it. We would always think of our languages as being so different, but while working on some of the tech pieces, and then trying to understand the languages and understanding probably the nuances on those, I think that's what got me intrigued, and I think I started developing a love for scripts, and I think that got me hooked into it, and also I think there was one fact that we were a very small team, right? So when we started, we were a very small team, and there was always that drive of being able to contribute to all the problems which we were trying to solve. So if we were able to solve something, we could always take pride in the fact that we were part of it. I mean, it was not just solved by the org, but we also, as individuals, at least I took the pride that as an individual I was also part of it. So yeah, those are the few things which got me hooked into it, and as time went on, I think more and more challenges came along, and I think it kept us excited. I mean, although we have had our ups and downs, but I think the challenges was the thing which kept us going all along.
That's absolutely right. In fact, the challenges have been our source of energy, motivation, and food for thought as well. In fact, you said something very, very interesting. That is what I always look for in people. When somebody is brilliant, one can use one's brilliance in many places. But what tends to happen, especially in the software industry, is that we think that the knowledge on software or on tools, overshadows the need for having enough knowledge about a particular domain. Whereas the fact is that in any other field, a tool is a tool, but the subject matter becomes the core thing. And it is so rare to be able to find somebody who can take enough interest and passion in the subject matter itself and put his once brilliance into solving problems there, which is something that you definitely brought, and that probably is the reason why you have loved this work as much. So looking back, what were some of the challenges that we overcame, and the eureka moments you may have had in this journey?
Yeah, I mean, talking of challenges, I think there were plenty of challenges, and I think we were. I mean, you guys had bootstrapped the company, so I mean, and from there itself, there were a lot of challenges which we had faced. But I would rather like to talk more about the eureka moments and keep it more happy rather than really look back at all the struggles and challenges. I think challenges are part of the journey. At the start of our journey, I think have stayed more closer to me than some of the recent work. More so because I was directly personally involved in those, and probably because at that time every success meant a lot more. So you must remember, like our first implementation, when we had worked together on a set-top box platform, and we were positioning ourselves against a US giant, and where we actually worked on the client premises for 3 to 4 months at a stretch, and then proved ourselves against that. And although for certain other reasons we did not onboard them as a client, but I think that stayed with me, and that was one of my first, I would say, in a corporate life, first important, say, either you can say project or a delivery or work, first important work which I had done, and which then I could take it to the take it to the logical conclusion which we were trying to get to, and that gave me immense pleasure, as well as it probably gave me the confidence that I can do well in whatever I am choosing to do going forward, right? So that was one. And I mean, the earlier days, we did have some struggles with money, right? So we were cash crunched, and we were looking for validation in everything that we were doing. We were looking for validation wherever we were presenting, or wherever you guys would be pitching, and all. And in that, I believe the Qualcomm Q Prize, which we won, where we were the India winners, I think that was one of the biggest, I would say, say milestones for the org itself, and being part of that small team which could make it happen. Although most of the credit goes to you and Arvind for that, but I think being part of the small team which contributed to that gave us a lot of confidence, and also the monetary rewards helped us. And immediately after that, I think we worked on creating the first Indian language solutions for Android devices. So where we worked with Qualcomm on their reference design, which eventually got launched in India, if I'm not wrong, through Micromax, and that was the first phone which was carrying Hindi language on Android in India. So I think that was our first real commercial client, and then the success that we had from that time onwards in that space, basically that stayed with me for a very, very long time. Apart from that, one more event which is very close to me, and this is not so much me contributing to it, but because of how the whole org worked and made it happen. It was our Swale keypad launch, which was sometime in 2015. I guess it was 2015, 26 Jan. I think I remember the date. So, and how the whole team was motivated to ensure that the launch happened, because we had fixed up the date and we were under some crunch, but we wholeheartedly everyone pitched in and tried to do beyond what was expected. I think that was one good example of teamwork where we all believed in the cause and everyone worked towards it, and we made it happen. I mean, that stays close to me. Although I must say, of all the other things which I listed, this is probably where I was working the least, because I was working on some other things at that point, but this still stays close to us. And I think very recently the Reliance acquisition, I think that itself is a big eureka moment, because apart from all it does at a, say, a monetary level, I think what it actually does is gives validation of the work that we have done for about 9-10 years, and it sets us in a different path right now.
Yes, in fact, you have run me through a lot of milestones that are worth remembering at this time. Uh, in fact, the the pride of being able to do something meaningful for a lot of users is incomparable, and especially when we know that there are very large established companies that have been trying to serve the Indian market in a very different way, and which may not be the best for India or the Indian users. They're sticking to the commitment to be able to come up with things that are truly making an impact and making creating user delight is a very different kind of a pleasure altogether. Yeah, I have also enjoyed that same journey with you so far. In fact, since you mentioned that our small team efforts, um, the thing that I have constantly cherished is the fact that when we have been building, it is not who does, but it's like how we collectively make sure that the end user wins, and the kind of detail that we have been putting into attention to the detail that we have been putting into every product, that shows. So you were the first one into our team, apart from the three co-founders. So from a team of less than 5 members to now about more than 150, maybe 170 now. What are the things that you really miss when we were smaller?
Yeah, I think there are a few things which I miss. One, of course, I mean, I personally like to know each and everyone in the org. I more or less knew till we were about, say, I mean, till before the pandemic, I knew each and everyone by face. I think right now it will be difficult or incorrect for me to say that I actually can recognize everyone by face, but most of them I will still do. And I miss the connect, basically. I mean, when we were small, we could keep a connect with everyone, and personally, I miss that I cannot connect or at least talk to everyone in certain capacity within the week or at least within the month, so that I understand how their work is going. And that apart from that, as a group, I think as a group, I mean, when we were 5, 7, 10, when we were growing, that's we were growing from 5 to about 10, 12, when we were still a small team, and we took about 3-4 years to grow from 5 to 15. I think there was a lot of hustle and energy in that small group, and anything happening in any certain say within a group of 1 or 2 individuals, I think that got I mean, the energy from there got I mean, others could derive energy from there. I think that is something which I guess I miss right now. I mean, also another thing which I personally miss, that I feel that I'm missing out on some important action, because I'm not part of certain development, I'm not part of certain solutioning or something of that sort, right? So I think when we were smaller, I knew each and everything which was going around, and I think that was something which I really liked, that okay, I know everything that is going around and everything that we are trying to solve, whether I was directly part of it or in some cases I was probably at least having the understanding of it to a great extent. So right now it's not possible. I mean, it's definitely not possible to have that, but yeah, that energy and that closeness is something which we miss. I mean, not to say that we are not close today, but yeah, I mean, the dynamics change when you grow from such a small team to a lot larger team.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, we have moved from the times when one individual engineer was also able to work on multiple projects, or a small team of 10 or 15 members, all of them practically knew something about every project. So yeah, from there we have sort of evolved to become more focused on individual projects, and we have rather teams working on single projects and so on. So yeah, so now you are leading a team of 50 tech course traders, right? So what do you think are their biggest strength right now?
Apart from their own technical, say, skill sets or technical expertise, I think a few things which give us the strength is basically the language know-how. And the interest in the language nuances. And in that, I would say Reverie has been pretty lucky that we have had a lot of people who have been with us for a very, very long time. Similar to me, people have had very long associations, and wherein we have been to an extent. I would believe that we have been able to pass on the language understanding and make people take interest in the nuances of languages, and having that understanding, probably they have been able to apply that onto the technologies and use the technologies to solve that problem. I think that is something which is the biggest strength of the team currently.
Right. I also agree with that. In fact, you know, uh, Reverie was bootstrapped until 2015, and 2018 may have been one of our toughest years when we saw a lot of attrition. But what has actually proven is that the team that saw through the company's evolution is actually the most resilient team that brought the company's glory back in 2019. So yeah, so now we are in 2021, and from now and beyond, how do you envision Reverie?
Uh, from now on, I think it should be in our DNA to make Reverie as one of the leaders in the Indian language space. Basically, whenever anybody thinks about a problem involving Indian languages and technology, I think Reverie should be one of the first names which should pop up in their minds. I think if we are able to achieve that, and along with that, if we are able to say achieve that, okay, people believe that Reverie can solve their problems. I think that's somewhere we should be able to go to. I think getting the mind space that, okay, they are the ones who can solve my problems, and also proving it by actually solving the problems, where people come across and talk about Reverie that, okay, they understand their subject as well as they can solve our problem. Not just somebody who understands the subject, but they probably do not solve our problem.
Right. Yeah, that's right, and that's precisely what we at Reverie have been standing up for. And we still have a long way to go in making many Indians use their languages digitally. In fact, your contributions here, right from the start, in fact, your association with Reverie has been longer than its official existence. So I must say that there is so much that you have shouldered and you will continue to shoulder. And I think I can't say any journey that I may have enjoyed as much as I have enjoyed your company and the association at Reverie. So, wish you all the very best for many more milestones.
Thanks a lot. I think I must also say that I have also enjoyed my journey thoroughly here. I think we have been through lots of ups and downs, but I think that makes it very interesting as well. Overcoming all the lows, and the lower you go, the highs would have more meaning, right? So I think that has left a very good taste with me over these 12 years, and I believe it will go on in the future as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pranjal.